Hello, this is TechMan88, and what I have here today is a mob elevator switcher. So you can have the mobs go directly up for an EXP farm, or you can switch it so that they just drop right down. And that's to collect mob drops. So there's a couple things going on here. So the obvious thing is that there's this slime like double pusher thing. Just a very easy one. You don't need like the complex timings and everything like that. And that's just working with a couple pistons and a couple slime blocks which are in here. Normally the problem with this kind of system is if you push in slime blocks, it's going to destroy the water source blocks around here. And the solution to that is very easy. But basically there's a bunch of source blocks around here, and when you retract the slimes, that's just going to fill this whole area back up with source blocks. So when you come in here you can see that the bubbles are going all the way up. Now if you've got this in the mob farm mode, what you would do to switch it is you would flip this lever over here, and now the mobs are going to go straight up. And they're going to land on this platform here and of course take a lot of damage like any kind of mob system like this. And then when you're up here you'd have like a sweeping edge or looting sword. You don't really need those, you can just use a normal sword. And you just swipe at them of course. And you can collect a fair amount of XP. So you could basically retrofit your normal mob farm to turn into an XP farm as well. This is what the upper portion looks like. So the mob elevator comes all the way up here, and I'll get that Y value. That's like 209. And then your AFK spot would generally be up here. Like this is 189, but like 192 is generally pretty good, so that you don't have any caves down at the bottom spawning stuff. And this is what the formation looks like. So they get sent up way up here, and then they land on a half slab. And that half slab is important because you're going to be standing in here and you don't want any of the skeletons to see you because they'll shoot at you and hit a creeper and you'll explode your entire thing. Now the lower part of this is more standard. So you'd have some sort of mob farm over here. I would recommend Gnembon's farm, and then drop it into some water streams and then push them into this water column just kind of like this. And then they'll fall down and get collected by this chest. Now this elevator switcher thing that I made is pretty simple. And if you don't know how these work, you want like a 1-tick delay on this repeater over here, and then a 3-tick delay on this repeater. Just so that when you pull it back, it's going to depower this before it depowers this one. Now another part of this device is these dispensers down here, which are going to remove and replace the water right here. So when you take out the water, it's going to allow you to flow down this way. And if you have a water source block in this dispenser, you're going to get enemies sitting in the back that aren't going to get pushed, which might not necessarily be a problem, but I think this is cleaner. So I'll switch that, and now I can come in here and there's water source blocks going all the way up. Now the way that that's powered is using this this observer right here ringing off the redstone. This is the one you turn on and off. So it's going to send a pulse every time you switch it, and that's going to send a pulse into this redstone wire, and that'll have a delay and it'll go into this dispenser. And this goes down for a reason, just so that this repeater right here can read it. And it's pretty important that you pulse both of these dispensers at the same time, because if there's some delay between them, the water source block in the corner might get filled up because it's surrounded on 2 corners. Now if you're wondering why I don't have some sort of pistons over here to block the spiders from coming out, that's because this is really just not a big problem in practice. I don't think you need so much spider eyes and string, but if you do need more, then you could make some piston blockers right here. Now if you do want to build this with the piston blockers, I just built it up real quick. It took a tiny bit of figuring out. But basically a lever over here is going to power all this redstone along here, and it's going to power these two pistons on both sides. It's going to push them in, and as you can see, it's not really a perfect thing. The mobs can get pushed into this corner here. But yeah, the redstone comes out of here, goes over here. It gets inverted by this redstone torch, and that's going to power this double piston pusher over here. And you do need 2 repeaters just on 1 delay, and then 1 repeater on 4 delay. And these are here just because you don't want to trigger the pistons from this block. It's a lot of stuff to fit in here. I don't know if you could really do both the dispenser stuff and the piston pusher stuff, but really I'm not even sure either of them are that necessary. So the switcher in action just looks like this. The piston's out, and then this blocker is in. Then I'll switch it, and then the blocker goes out and the pistons go back in. And the entities get stuck here when you switch it some of the time, but that doesn't really matter. And by the way, these fences around here seem to be important. I don't think the spiders can actually grab onto the wall when you have these signs up here. Just a little tidbit. Since I didn't really build this up in my creative world, I wanted to show you my survival world. And right here I have Gnembon's mob farm, which I think pretty much everybody's using now because it's very simple to make. Just use observers and dispensers, and I'll link that video in the description. And that's going to drop all the mobs down here, trying to shoot at me now. And it drops them into this water stream, and they'll get pushed in, and then they'll get pushed up. So where is my button? It's right here. And I did build this a little bit differently, and I used furnaces instead of obsidian because I have a cobble farm, and the furnaces work just as well as obsidian for this matter because they're full blocks. But I'll switch it back into the XP mode. And now I'll go back up to the top. Okay, so the enemies have accumulated for a little bit. Now I can just sit up here and hit them with my sword. And I didn't mention earlier, but this trapdoor here is just on the bottom, and it can be flipped up, and then there's another trapdoor on the top, and then the half slabs here. The combination of all those make it so that none of the enemies can actually see me. So I can sit here pretty safely. The spiders are still going to hit me occasionally, but it's definitely more of a manual type of mob farm. So up here in my EXP farm, because I'm using a looting sword, I can get a lot more drops. So I have a way to send the items down into my main collection system. And this is just a standard kind of dropper. When there's items, it's going to activate the system, and I can turn it off with this lever. But it'll just send the items over here, and they'll get slammed into something, and that'll destroy all their velocity in this direction. And that'll just go down to my main item collection system, which is down here. Now I'll show a bit of that main item collection system. Just use my water drop here. The idea on this mob drop collection system is that you'll need probably one item at a time. Like you might need a lot of bones, or you might need a lot of gunpowder. And then there's just like a lot of items you collect that you pretty much want to throw out. So looking at these chests, like these will get filled up with rotten flesh all the way up to top. And then if it fills up this entire chest, it's going to start sending the items into this destroying system. I'll just put a couple in there now. They just get sent into lava. And in the back, I'll go up there right now, it's just using the standard overflow proof hopper sorters. So that system is right here. I'm sure you've seen that before. And the main difference is this hopper right here points into the overflow hopper.